Perfectly fine. People can deal with that. But when you start saying, I can make this look exactly like this by changing this gene, fixing this gene, doing this gene, and it's not a natural occurrence, people start to worry. And in a sense, rightfully so, because you don't know in the long term how that's going to affect us. So that explains what GMO is. A GMO is a genetically modified organism whose goal is, or which goal is, to introduce new traits to a plant which does not occur in the species. So again, this is not taking a brown-eyed person and a blue-eyed person and you have them mate to see the probability. This is actually introducing something entirely new, entirely different, that is not naturally in that species. So you be the judge on GMOs, if it's for you or not. And another thing that, before we move on to organic, that is troubling people, GMOs do not have to be labeled. Right now, in most countries, or in a lot of countries, I should say, the battle is on, the war is on. I think Canada, I'm not sure if Canada has outlawed GMOs altogether or they're making it, you have to label them. A lot of other countries, even quote unquote third world countries, are saying you need to at least label GMOs if we're not going to outright ban them. Europe is on board. Was saying that you have to either label or we're going to get rid of GMOs altogether. So right now the big fight in the US is, okay, if you're granting people permission to use GMOs, at least make them label them. Because the belief is if there's nothing wrong with it, as you say, why is it hidden from us to make the decision whether we want to eat it or not? So that's another big issue that's going on in the GMO in the agricultural world. Now moving on to organic. Probably within the last 5 years, it's been very trendy to be organic. Oh, I eat everything organic, 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 organic. But probably within the last 5 to 10, well, within 10 years ago, organic was very expensive. Probably within the last 3 to 5 years, it's becoming more affordable. Not saying it is absolutely affordable, but it's starting to become more affordable, especially with probably in the last year or two. Um, Organic was very, very expensive. You can only find it in select, stores and select areas. Now it's starting to be a little more plentiful. You're starting to see it in a variety of stores for different economic levels. You're starting to see it in a variety of areas. So now that the supply and demand has gotten a little bit bigger, and it's a little more plentiful, the prices are coming down. For some, it's not necessarily where it could be, but it's working its way down. So probably within the next, year to 3 years, organic will probably be, very competitively priced with anything else that you can find in your local market, grocery store, what have you. So everyone is saying, what is organic? Well, in theory, let's kind of go back. When our grandparents, great grandparents had gardens, farms, basically they just used like some manure as fertilizer, some type of fertilizer. They used water, and they used at minimal, maybe a little something for the bugs, but in general they didn't really do too much. Now, especially with the supply and demand, with organic, and especially with the change in, like global warming, I guess you could say, and all of this, people are using pesticides because now you have a lot of more bug traffic, destroying crops, and just chemicals just to kind of increase the growth, speed the growth of plants. You're using chemicals to keep the bugs away, keep animals away. So this is getting in our foods, and again, people worry that it gets into the soil, it grows up through the plant, and we're eating it, which makes, a lot of sense. So the people have been fighting to have foods that do not have any of these pesticides or have very minimal. And this includes not only plants, but within animals as well, because the animals are eating the same plants that we eat most of the time. Also, animals can have, like if you eat chicken, turkey, beef, whatever, they can also have the organic seal as well, which basically means that they're fed organic feed. They're not given any hormones, antibiotics, or anything to that nature. But back onto plants, my belief is nothing's going to be 100% pesticide free, especially since we've been using pesticides and all this kind of stuff. Because you have rain, which is condensation, you have runoff. You can filter as much as you want, but you will never get it 100%. Now, that's not saying organic is a waste, and that's not saying organic is a myth. I'm just saying sometimes people get so caught up on a name that they don't realize, like, yes, this can be 99% organic, but there is still that small chance that you're going to have a little bit of pesticide in your life. But people like the title organic, and they like to eat organic, and overall I do think organic in general is better for you, just because you don't have to deal with 99% pesticides. You only deal maybe with that 1%. So what is organic? What can get that distinction of being organic? With organic, or the USDA has regulated it to a certain degree. Now it regulates it in food specifically. Non-specifically, it does not regulate like cosmetics, like lotion, makeup, or anything like that. But it does have authority over organic distinction in cosmetics and makeup and lotions and things if it uses agricultural products. So basically it means the USDA regulates organic foods. It does not regulate cosmetics, lotions, and things of that nature, but it does still hold standards to it if it uses plant-based stuff in its products. If that makes total sense to you. Actually, this podcast is taking a little bit longer than what I thought. So we're going to wrap that up right here, and I'm going to start a part 2 of organic GMOs. What's that?